Thank you so much, Alicia, and everyone who's joining this call. And, for me, I think it's really about trying to remember all that comes with our city and all that we are unified together in. And part of that is also acknowledging the amazing leaders we have, those on this call, those who are involved in all sorts of ways on this issue and will be in the future. But especially our Congresswoman Deb Haaland and city councilors, Clarissa and Cynthia. um, you know, you are all three such powerful leaders. And I'm grateful we have elected leaders that can also personally speak to Native American and Hispanic perspectives, as well as represent all of us collectively. And I think that's what's so important, is that we do know for ups and downs, thicks and thins, tensions, and celebrations, we do all live in this community together, and we have for centuries. And that's something that is reflected in our leadership, and it's something I'm very, very grateful for. Now, I want to mention just a little bit about public art before I touch on some of the deeper issues around race, equity, and healing. And excuse me, Monday morning allergies, etc. It's not Corona. But I do want to mention that, in our city, public art has been controversial for a long time, actually. And we have created a process and an ownership situation where public art is guided really by the community through an inclusive and public process. And I think it's actually a good thing that no one politician can unilaterally decide what happens to our public art permanently, right? And that's a good thing. That's because the community should decide it is actually public art. And there are things like city council and our public arts board that matter both legally but also for the community. I think in many ways it's the easy way to just have one politician make all these decisions. And frankly, that's kind of always my instinct, and what I've been always reminded by both our public arts folks and our counselors. This isn't about one person's opinion. That's the whole point, right? It's about all of our collective histories. And so in Albuquerque, we actually have the opportunity to address these concerns around our cultural identity and find unity in some solutions that actually work for all of us. And that's what this dialogue should really be all about. Now, I think it was about 3 years ago, it's hard even to remember now, and I asked for the voters to hand me this role. And I think back on that, and, part of a key part, I think at the time I was, in our top 3 priorities for the city. One was equity, and I want to talk a little bit about that because it could never be more important. And it was also about championing our city for what it is, for the shared cultures. This is what we said time and time again with the concept of One Albuquerque. It's that we champion our diversity, but we also know we're all in this together. That has been actually a clarion call for us over the last 3 years and even before that. But also, it's so important as we think about the journey going forward. Because for us, we know from our history that things like racial healing and racial equity is a journey, right? There's no stopping point. There's no one act that makes everyone feel comfortable. It's about taking steps forward. And look, there are going to be steps backwards. But obviously, over time, we have to, bend that arc towards justice and towards reflecting all of our collective identities. And that's what this is really about. Now, as part of this, we've got to remember some, I think, standards around, we've got to stand against oppression in general, no matter when it happened, but also stand with those who are oppressed. And I think most importantly, those who are oppressed now. And that is not to speak in any way for the Black Lives effort, but one of the things that I have learned is they are talking about literally today, each and every day. And so that's something for us to remember in this discussion as well. And it's also, of course, it's unfortunate we have to say this, but I think it's important that our leaders continue to do this. We must condemn all forms of racism and hate of all kinds. That is what universally we cannot have. And that means white supremacy. It means anti-Blackness, which is different than general anti-racism. It also means anti-Hispanic rhetoric and actions, which we have seen a sharp increase in generic anti-Hispanic rhetoric in our city. And this also means anti-Native American rhetoric, which of course we've had in our city as well. These actions have no place in Albuquerque and in New Mexico. And we also need to remember that violence is never acceptable. The shooter at the sculpture the other night caused grave harm, and not only just to the victim, but also to the countless people who were afraid for their lives, and to our city, to how it is dividing and creating hate in our city. And those who are doing that, creating that hate and division and violence, must also be held accountable. Now, as we think about reconciliation and the path forward, this process isn't just about whether or not to take down a statue or to rename a street. It's got to be about finding ways that we can heal historical scars with a real reconciliation process. And my hope is that this somehow is our gift also to future generations, because we know this is going to happen like every 10 years. The question is, are we prepared to cope and to heal and to make the changes that we feel are appropriate? That's what we've got to set up for the next generation. And I think as good or as however you feel about it, but past efforts, they didn't set up something lasting that we could use right now. And I hope that is something that we can do for the next generation. So I want to really wrap things up, because this is, even for me, especially just about listening. But as mayor, you know, I think you just sometimes also have to share a few thoughts. And so I appreciate everyone on this call creating that space for the mayor of our city. And so let me close just with, you know, I was born and raised here. Obviously, I do not have a history that goes back centuries and generations, but I was born and raised here, and I know that I love this city. And, you know, our collective heritage, that is why we love this city. That's why I came back. That's why they call it the land of entrapment, because we all love it here for one reason or another, and we can't even get ourselves to leave. And I think it's really important to remember that we have long found resilient ways to live together. And it's not always been peaceful, but we have found ways to coexist together and to do things like love each other and intermarry and celebrate each other's culture. And for us, I believe that is part of the path forward. So with that, I just want to encourage everyone to participate and to let others know that you're talking to participate in the process. And the team will kind of outline some emails and contact info to do that. And thank you for the time today.